T. Davis is coming back, right?
Yeah, which that's exciting.
And who's going to be his doctor? I think he should be Billie Piper, actually.
Yes, yes.
Catherine Tate's great, but I think there's your doctor. And I'd like to see you all struggle with it. How can she be the doctor when she was an assistant? I like the idea of it blowing fuses in the cannon, or whatever it's called. No, this cannot. Dissonance.
A few years later.
Joy to the world!
You know it, your mum knows it, your grandma knows it, your aunt knows it, everyone knows it. Billie Piper is back in Doctor Who as Billie Piper, I guess. Yeah, so in the latest Doctor Who episode, The Reality War, we obviously had the huge twist that the 15th Doctor, played by Ncuti Gatwa, became Billie Piper, the 16th Doctor, presumably, because a lot of people are very skeptical about it all, because they're not quite sure where the future of Doctor Who might be headed. Obviously, they introduced Billie Piper at the credits of this episode as just her, which is weird, because normally when a new Doctor is cast, their credits go as the Doctor or as the new Doctor, because in this episode we already had Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor, we had the 13th Doctor as, or we had Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor, but now we had just Billie Piper, which was kind of random and kind of weird. So yes, the future of Doctor Who is very unsure, but let's talk about obviously a bit of the reality war, and let's just talk about my theories and my thoughts of the episode and where the future might bring us. So I'll give you a quick recap, obviously, of the last few minutes of the reality war. With Ruby having used Desiderium's powers to restore the correct reality, the Doctor located his TARDIS, which had been disguised as Conrad's room, and reunited with Belinda and Poppy, throwing Belinda's star certificate into space to ensure that the robots from Miss Belinda Chandra 1 would find it now that the Earth wasn't going to be destroyed. However, Poppy disappeared soon afterwards, leaving only Ruby with memories of her. We also had Anita return to the time hotel. She passed on a message from the boss, said hello, and units discovered that reality had been restored with some minor glitches. Ruby revealed the existence and the disappearance of Poppy to the Doctor and Belinda, and everyone present reminded the Doctor of how he had saved them all countless times, referring to them as the Doctor's children, which was kind of weird, but okay, I'll allow it, this time. Anyway, with only one thing powerful enough to shift reality 1 degree and bring Poppy back, the Doctor took off into the time vortex, where the 13th Doctor appeared in the TARDIS in a failed attempt to dissuade, or I guess try to convince the Doctor that he shouldn't do this, from going through with his plan, triggering his next regeneration by sheer force. The Doctor punched the time vortex with a ton of regeneration energy, jolting it enough to shift reality slightly. Obviously, regeneration power is very, very powerful and very, very energetic. So I guess it's a literal it's like a source of energy. So if you were to shoot it into the TARDIS core, it would shift reality back a bit, because the TARDIS is also biological, powerful enough for that stuff. I'm not quite sure. Don't overthink it, guys. But I suppose we're Whovians. Obviously, we overthink. Anyway, the Doctor awoke outside of Belinda's house, where he discovered that Poppy was now the daughter of Belinda, and Richie, and his companion had been trying to return to the 24th of May for her daughter. Privately, the Doctor sadly admitted to Poppy that he couldn't have children of his own, but if he had, he would wish for them to be exactly like her. Belinda was unwilling to travel anymore, and as Poppy and the Doctor said goodbye, hoping to return someday when Poppy was older, the Doctor promised Belinda that his love for her and Poppy would never change before departing. Obviously, not wanting to regenerate alone, the Doctor piloted the TARDIS into space close to the Star of Bethlehem, aka Joy, where the TARDIS turned off the interior lights for him. Standing in the TARDIS doors, Doctor spoke to Joy and telling her that his life had been an absolute joy. Haha, get it. Anyway, the Doctor released a massive amount of regeneration energy that shot out of the TARDIS into space in all directions and regenerated into his next incarnation, who resembled Rose Tyler, the former companion of the 9th and 10th Doctors, respectfully. Well, yeah, that's a lot to take in. Obviously, the Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor, was an absolute, like he said it himself.
This has been an absolute joy.
An absolute joy to watch. Like, he is pretty much one of my favorite Doctors. It's very weird because he just ended his era, but I think like his Doctor is the Doctor of acceptance, of respect, and of love, and the Doctor of love, I guess, because he was kind of like the psychiatrist of all the other Doctors before him. Like, he said to the 14th Doctor, played by David Tennant, it's okay, I'll take it over, and, you should just rest. You had a long life, and now I'm going to be your next incarnation. Which is interesting, because, I mean, in the entirety of the Doctor's life, the Doctor had, been different people all throughout his life. Obviously became the timeless child, so I suppose they set up that the Doctor was the one that had the regeneration put into the different Time Lords on Gallifrey. It was also revealed that the fugitive Doctor worked for the Time Lords, like for the Division, so that's a lot of backstory before actually we got introduced, obviously, to the first Doctor. Obviously, the first Doctor was the very first Doctor back in the 60s, but during series 12 or season 12, series 12, whatever, Chris Chibnall revealed that the Doctor had actually had a secret backstory, which a lot of fans weren't really happy about, but I think after a few years, people still don't really like it, but they accept it. And now stuff got really mixed up, really interesting, because, after, the 15th Doctor said to the 14th Doctor, okay, now it's time for you to rest, I'll take it over. Everyone thought, oh, okay, nice, the Doctor is going to have a brand new slate of Doctors, nothing really new, nothing going to be nostalgia bait. Oh boy, we were wrong. Yes, Rose Tyler, or I guess Billie Piper, is back as the Doctor. I suppose it's weird in a way, but yeah, whatever. It's also weird because the fans, the Whovians, and a lot of people who worked on Doctor Who haven't said a single thing about the return of Doctor Who. Maybe next year, maybe in a few years, maybe sadly, maybe in 5 years, 6 years. I'm not quite sure. Like, I hope it will return soonish. Like, that's it. I just hope for me and for the other Whovians that it will return to our screens very shortly. Obviously, as a community of fans, as a community of Whovians and Doctor Who fans, I had, a couple of the YouTubers that I watch, I had a few of their opinions thrown in this video because I really found them funny in a way, because it's kind of weird, the Russell T Davies, I don't think it's his fault that the episode was quite rushed and sometimes quite slow. I think a couple of rewrites really, really threw off the episode in a way. But I think Russell T Davies is not the one to blame, although he wrote the episode. But I also think that he wants the audience to, to know that, we have something coming up, but it's not going to be soon, And I think, yeah, a lot of people are mixed about him right now because his ending, the episode wasn't really, good. But I think that's also, it comes down with Disney Plus because they released the episodes and they're the big bosses on how the future of the Doctor will be. Or I suppose the Disney Doctor, because I think BBC will obviously air this show, hopefully soonish, on BBC themselves, or maybe they'll find another streaming platform that will actually stream it on, but we'll need to wait and see. But anyway, let's talk about these YouTubers that I already mentioned. Yeah, well, I watched a couple of videos from one of my favorite YouTubers. I suppose they're more of more like inspirations to me as a smaller YouTube channel. And there's this great comment, I guess, made by Arbo Holmes. I think that's how you pronounce his name, about Poppy, because literally every single time that they said Poppy in this episode, I think it was like a count of like 50 or something, which is quite absurd. But I'll let him explain it. Shout out, obviously, go check it. Go check him out. I'll obviously put him in the video. Obviously, YouTube channel. I mean, I did not ask him. Maybe I should have asked him for him to be in this video, but obviously he's a bigger YouTuber than me, and I don't really want to be an annoying fan or something. But just enjoy his comment, and I'll talk about my comment as well. And I'm going to react on his comment.
God knows how many times they say it in this episode, but I got real sick of the name and the character by the end.
Puppies, puppy, 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 puppies, puppy, puppies, puppies, puppy, puppies, puppy, 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 puppies, puppy, 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 puppy.
Yes, like I said, it's a very fun YouTuber in my opinion. It's a big inspiration for me. And yes, like I already said, Poppy's name was mentioned 56 times in this episode, which is quite absurd. Like, why would you why would you mention name 56 times? That's it's a bit too much. But obviously the 15th Doctor regenerated thanks to this baby that was actually that existed in this alternate reality, and the 15th Doctor shoot he got was Doctor needed to fix that, obviously. Yeah, well, I think Russell T Davies had this plan for quite some years, I suppose, in his head, that the Doctor would sacrifice him for for himself, for a child, if that makes sense. Hopefully that made sense. Anyway, and Russell T Davies had this plan in his head for a couple of years, where he wanted the Doctor to actually sacrifice himself for a child, which I think is a very beautiful thing. But I also think that and in case of this episode, it was a bit too much. First of all, you mentioned that the Doctor is infertile, so he can't have children, even not with like a female Time Lord. Yeah, well, that's a bit weird, and that's the spy master caused like an entire explosion and actually, made sure that the Time Lords couldn't have children anymore. It's a bit too much, a bit confusing. And you also mentioned that the Doctor might have had a daughter, but then again not. It's weird, and Susan wasn't in this episode. It's all over the place, and I think that's the problem with this entire episode. And I think the future, or this not really era, but Russell T Davies said that he wanted to focus on a brand new slate and introduce new villains and new characters. And he did that in a way, but he also focused on Sutak, on Omega, on like the Rani. And Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor never faced a Dalek before, which is quite weird. The confused adipose also had something to say about the continuation of the future of Doctor Who. So I guess I'll let him explain it. Obviously, shout out to him. He's also a big inspiration for me. So, alright, let's roll the clip.
Yeah, I think that there were definitely rewrites, and Ncuti, just look at the articles that we were getting. Like Ncuti said last year on the Graham Norton show, and I think about October, November time, he was like, we're going to be filming season 3 next year. This wasn't always the plan.
It was always the plan.
Yes, it's quite weird because I think Ncuti Gatwa already also mentioned that he was going to do season 3 at the Graham Norton show, and now, well, he isn't, which is quite weird. It's like it was like his era was literally like a snap, a snap with your fingers, and it was gone. Like 2 years, that's not a lot. Ncuti Gatwa should have gotten longer, and I think he left because he knew that the future, or whatever it wasn't really sure. I think Russell T Davies did his best, but I think that whatever may come in the future, that it will already, be a bit criticized, because you have Billie Piper as the Doctor, and a lot of people don't really like that. I'm like a player on both sides. You know, I think it's cool, but I also think you did Shruti Gatwa dirty, and that's quite sad to hear, you know. And then we have Theris, I guess, this other great Doctor Who YouTuber who also had something to say about the future of Billie Piper's brand new incarnation of the Doctor.
But I mean, if we're being real, the probably most likely reason that Billie Piper is back in Doctor Who is...
We've got to have money.
Yeah, well, this one was really funny. Like I already said, I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and as a community of Whovians, we need to, you know, obviously hear each other's opinions. Luckily, we're not as toxic as the Star Wars community, but obviously people have their opinions on it, and that's quite alright because Doctor Who it's pretty much the biggest science fiction show. You know, it exists for over 60 years now, and I think a lot of Whovians have been there and done that, you know. they've been through plenty of regenerations and already know that when a Doctor regenerates, it's going to be a heartbreak. And I think a lot of people are very touched on the subject of Shruti Gatwa's regeneration. I think give it time, let it sink in, let it, you know, be for a while, you know. Let's just wait for answers of Russell T Davies, of the Doctor Who team, Doctor Who socials, and maybe we'll see or hear something else from the Doctor Who Unleashed, obviously behind the scenes documentary, but we'll just need to wait and see. Like, I think it might be interesting, but I also think it might be very controversial. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will check you later. Ariyama, goodbye everyone.